Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Ance back again, and today we are going to be ranking every single starting pitcher that's anywhere close to end game in my mind in MLB The Show 21. I've had a lot of people asking me what my rotation looks like, what I recommend for my rotation, one of the most requested things that I get all the time. So today we're putting together a tier list of starting pitchers in MLB The Show 21. Shout out to my man Scan for putting together all these tier lists. You can find the links to his channel as well as the tier list down in the description below, so be sure to definitely go show him some love. Also in the middle of a massive thunderstorm right now, but you know that's not going to stop us from getting a video out. Hopefully the power sticks through this bad boy, but let's hop into it. Let's start ranking down every starting pitcher that I consider to be usable, and then we'll be the show 21. So here we are at the tier list. As you can see, there are quite a few starting pitchers here on this list. We're not going to be going through all of these, as a lot of these just aren't really usable or really have much place in any sort of in-game rotations at this point. So none of these guys down here we will be ranking, but we have a lot to go through and rank, especially with all the new TA4 cards coming out. And we're starting out the gate with an absolute heater, Edward Cabrera. Even though he's a lower overall than a lot of other cards we're going to talk about, I still think he's really, really good. That sinker is absolutely no joke. Obviously, when he came out and for the longest time, he was S tier. I don't think he quite is anymore, especially with the nerf to sinkers that has happened. It's at least made some impact on things. But Edward, I would still feel comfortable out there using my rotation. So he's going to start out in the A tier for us. The next one we're looking at here, it's Max Scherzer. You get this card for free as a milestone for his 3,000 strikeout. So because of that, he does have 122 Ks per nine. Unfortunately, he only has 100 hits per nine, which in this game is pretty low. Even when you're on Hall of Fame, that's going to give people pretty big PCIs with the quality of hitters that we have. We take a look at his pitch as well. Four-seam slider, changeup, curveball, cutter. Definitely not bad at all. Not a terrible pitch mix, but I think the per nines for me hurts it just a little bit. And you mix in with 88 control overall as well. It's just not the best for me. He's going to come in here in the B tier. Certainly not a bad pitcher at all, especially for free. Now on to Justin Verlander, a World Series reward. He is the milestone no-hitter card. But you may notice a bit of a theme. These no-hitter cards are really, really good. 125 hits per nine. For Justin Verlander, that's going to limit your opponent's PCI so much. He's got a good pitch mix as well with the four seam, the 12-6, good speed differential, the circle change. I really like throwing circle changes this year, the slider and the cutter. So both north to south, east to west movement. He throws the ball fast, as outlier on that fastball, and the 125 hits per nine. Yeah, Justin Verlander, pretty nasty. Firmly the first S tier card that we have, maybe the best pitcher in the entire game. The next guy we're moving on to, Garrett Crochet, another guy who was really, really good. S tier when he came out, most likely, but he's still really good. I mean, he has 97 hits per nine. He has the outlier on the fastball, decent control as well. He's going to come in the B tier for us behind Max Scherzer. There are a lot of really good righty hitters in this game as well, so that does hurt Crochet being a lefty, but his fastball slider combo, especially with the ability to dot on inside corners with those pitches, is still nasty to this day. Next guy we're looking at here, Kerry Wood. Unfortunately, no outlier on Kerry Wood, which was surprising to see the lack of outlier on him, but still a card with really good per nines, max Ks per nine, and 112 hits per nine. Makes him pretty nasty on the bump, even without some of the meta pitches. He's rocking a four-seam slurve, 12-6, and a changeup. So no meta pitches probably keeps him from being S tier. And I think he's going to be, I think he's better than a B tier guy. I think he's going to be more of a low A tier kind of card. I like his speed differential that he gets with the 99 fastball and the 77 12-6, just lacking a little bit of control for me to keep him down here where he is. Next guy we have here, Tom Seaver. Got 99 hits per nine. That's pretty on par with Garrett Crochet. The four-seam slider, he does have a sinker, 12-6, and a changeup. not elite control by any stretch of the matter. Honestly, I always do really bad with Tom Seaver cards as well. He doesn't have crazy velocity. He doesn't have insane control. Doesn't have the hits per 9. I think a lot of things are just bringing him down. And so I think he's going to slide in here as the first C tier card. Having him under Crochet may be a little blasphemous, but I honestly still struggle to hit this Crochet and enjoy using them with the Velo, because so many people in this game really struggle against Velo, especially with how the servers in this game act a lot. Seaver, he just doesn't have anything that stands out for me that pumps him up. The next guy we're looking at here is Brett Saberhagen. Honestly, if you haven't used this card, give him a shot. He has 116 hits per 9. He's a no-hitter card, so pretty solid there. 87 Ks per 9 is lacking, but you're not getting many people to strike out anyway. He's a little slower as well, but pitch repertoire, four-seam, changeup, curveball, slider, pretty standard mix there. He's got east to west and north to south, and he has 93 control, so he can really dot up his pitches, and his opponents are gonna have a small PCI as well. So for me, I've actually really liked this Brett Saberhagen. Pretty surprising. He's gonna be higher end, top end of the B tier for me right now. Next guy we're looking at here, Lefty Grove. 101 hits per 9, 108 Ks per 9. He does have the outlier on the fastball, so he's certainly not bad by any stretch. He's better than Crochet pretty firmly, and honestly, he ends up kind of just being a better version of Crochet. So I think we're going to put Lefty Grove here in the B tier, actually knock down Crochet here to the C+ tier, because Lefty Grove ends up just being a better version of Crochet with the four-seam, curveball, changeup, slider, but he also gets to add the cutter and not a whole lot of control. Certainly not bad at all, but against people who are able to lay off inside sliders and are using a really right-handed heavy hitting lineup, he may face some struggles with Lefty Grove. Next guy we're looking at, Hal Newhouser. In my opinion, not that good of a card at all. His stuff is always just super flat to me. I don't know if it's because we saw him so much in years past, but he's super flat in my opinion. He doesn't have really high hits per 9, doesn't have a ton of control. I think he's probably the worst card we've seen so far. I just think he throws it flat. He doesn't have outlier either, so his pitches aren't going to have that extra little kick to him that we'd be wanting to see from a lefty flamethrower like Newhouser. So he's going to be in the C tier. Moving on to Shohei Ohtani. I know Ohtani's tough to control. I think he gets a little bit of a bad rap, and he does have the ability to hit, which isn't meaningless in my opinion. If you're able to locate with him, he is nasty, but he does lack the control a little bit. Still though, his ability to hit, and I like his pitch mix, he's gonna be in the bottom of the A tier for me. I've actually found a decent amount of success with Ohtani on days where I'm dotting it up. When I'm not, of course, he does get lit up, but if you're able to control him effectively, I do like Ohtani. We'll actually move him up here towards closer to the top of the A tier for now. The next guy we're looking at here, Nate Pearson. I know a lot of people haven't gotten a chance to use him, being a headliner, and a pretty recent headliner at that, but 111 hits per 9, 107 Ks per 9, 84 control is a little bit on the lower side from what we want to see. Four-seam slider, curveball, changeup is a pretty standard pitch mix, but he does have north-south and east-to-west pitch movement with good hits per 9 as well. Outlier on the fastball too, so you get some people who struggle a little bit with the speed. You're gonna have some solid success with Nate Pearson. I think we're gonna put him up here in the top end of the B tier. I almost want to go A tier, but I think the pitch mix just kills it for me. His stuff ends up being a little bit more flat because of the pitches that he does have to throw. Now this next guy, Robbie Ray. I know a lot of people were not fans of Robbie Ray, but personally, I really enjoyed using him. 120 hits per 9 and 115 Ks per 9 is pretty nasty from the pitching spot. Four-seam slider, knuckle curve, changeup, two-seamer. Not the best pitch mix in the world. That hurts him at the end of the day. That keeps him down some for sure. I think he's one of the better, if not the best, lefty starter in the game. I like Robbie Ray a lot. I enjoyed him. 90 control as well. He's going to come in here and slide into the A tier for us. Certainly not an S tier guy at the end of the day, but I really do enjoy him there in the A tier. Now on to Nolan Ryan. I absolutely love this Nolan Ryan card. He's got the hits per 9. He's got the Ks per 9. The most control we've ever had on a Nolan Ryan card. And his pitches may say 101 on the radar in game, but those feel like they're coming in 120 when you go against him, especially on Hall of Fame. Nolan Ryan is throwing straight heat. If you get someone who's not absolutely selling out for the speed, for the velocity, they are really gonna struggle to hit Nolan. I think he's easily an S tier pitcher. Our second no-hitter card in the S tier, a bit of a theme there that we have going on. Those guys just have such high hits per 9, and in both the cases of Verlander and Nolan Ryan, they back that up with immense velocity as well. Now on to Freddie Peralta, not a card you see very often because of how expensive he is, and anybody getting the rare round of the All-Star Game choice pack, they end up taking Vladdy Jr. because Vladdy Jr. is absolutely insane. But Peralta has 113 hits per 9, 125 Ks per 9 with a four-seam curveball, slider, changeup, sinker pitch mix, which is a really, really, really nice pitch mix. He lacks a little bit on the control. That's what brings him down and probably keeps him from being S tier. But for me, I think he's a really firm A+ tier is Freddie Peralta on this front. He has the hits per 9, the Ks per 9, and a pretty solid pitch mix to go with it. Next guy, Pedro Martinez. Nothing else to say. He's D tier. I'm sorry. I want to love him. Pedro Martinez should be the best pitcher in this game. I think he's the best pitcher in the history of this sport. It's just his card's it's just not good. I've used him. Any decent hitter is gonna absolutely light him up. And to go with him, we're gonna skip Christie for a second. Greg Maddux is right there with him. I'm sorry. I wanted to love Greg Maddux as well. Whenever we learned about pinpoint pitching, I wanted Greg Maddux so badly. I thought he would be the best pitcher in this game. I even liked his 91 that we had earlier on in the season. But with the amount of good hitters we have in this game, you're just not getting by with the hits per 9 and lack of velo that Greg Maddux has. Even if you're dotting it up, we're able to go to those corners and hit those pitches whenever they're able to just sit back, read it perfectly, and crush it. I wanted to love Greg. I wanted to love Pedro. They've both been bad for me. It's almost like an overreaction in the D tier based off how good they could have been, but they're going D tier for me. Now on to Christy Mathewson. Honestly, he's going to join them in the D tier too. I'm not going to lie. 96 hits per 9, 97 Ks per 9. He does have 96 control. Does have a little bit more velo. He's also got the screwball 12.6 with the speed differential. But I'm going to be straight up. I'm not dealing with that long of a windup just to be throwing out there with a 96 hits per 9 to get a bomb hit up off of me. I'm sorry, Christy Mathewson. He had some more hits per 9 and a windup that didn't take 5 years. I think he'd have a little bit more potential. But in this sense, he does. And he's going to be in the D tier. Now, Clayton Kershaw, the newest collection reward for the Legends and Flashbacks. One of the best pitchers in the game. And MLB 19. Everybody used him for the entire year. We saw a lot of Clayton Kershaw. He's got 107 hits per 9, 111 Ks per 9. Certainly not bad on that front. 88 control, not too shabby either. He's got the four-seam slider, 12.6 changeup sinker. Not a bad pitch mix either, but he's overall just kind of meh all around. He's not bad in any sense, but he's certainly not dominant in any fashion either. I do think he is worthy of coming up here in the A tier towards the middle of it. In terms of lefties, I would rank Robbie Ray above of him due to his per 9s. Although Kershaw has slightly more control in that sense and some nice speed differential, I don't think you're going to dominate people with Kershaw like we have in past games. Now on to Walker Buehler, a card I'm surprised we don't see much more of. He does only have 85 Ks per 9, but at the end of the day, any decent hitter is going to be fouling off pitches anyway. So the Ks per 9 doesn't change things too much. And he does have the 110 hits per 9. So pretty solid there. 89 control, throws it fast as well. The four seam comes in at 97. He also has the knuckle curve, cutter, two-seamer, and the slider. So some really solid meta pitches Buehler has with that cutter and decent control on his pitches. I believe his slider even has 99 break as well, maybe same with the cutter. I think this Buehler is a card that people should probably give a little bit extra look to. He's only a 96, been out for a while now from the July Player of the Month, especially at the time he was nasty, but I still think he's nasty now, and he's going to come in here and slot in up in our A tier at this point. And I think at this point, we're going to go ahead and move Kerrywood down into the B tier as well. We're going to keep Edward there for now. He maybe end up sliding down as well as the A tier gets a little bit more crowded. I wanted to Walter Johnson. If you like velo, Walter Johnson is 110% your guy to go to. 96 control as well. You do have to deal with the long windup, but the mix of the velo and the control is pretty nasty. He does come in with the curveball changeup as well, so no east to west movement to go with his four seam and his sinker. And he does have double outlier, which I generally think ends up being a negative in terms of how pitchers perform. You mix in the long windup as well. I think Walter's great, but he's going to be B+ tier for me. I haven't had too much trouble, as you can just really sit fastball on him because there's no east to west movement that's going to change up your eyes and how you're looking at his pitches. So you just sit on something coming in real hot and fast, sit on the corners as people are trying to dot those up. Walter ends up becoming a little bit more hittable at that point. Next guy we're looking at, Jacob deGrom. Honestly, not even much to say about him. He's S tier. He's going to be S tier. He's not going anywhere for the rest of this year. DeGrom's insane. He's got everything you want. The hits per nine, the Ks per nine, the control, the pitch mix. He does it all. Jacob deGrom easily up in the S tier. There's a reason you see him every other game in ranked seasons. Now on to the Felix Hernandez perfect game. I think a card that is a little underrated. 120 hits per nine, 100 Ks per nine, 92 control. He does have primary changeup, but it's got good break and control. And then he has four seam, sinker, slurve, and cutter. So north to south, east to west movement, sinker, cutter, four seamer. He lacks a little bit of velocity, but he makes it up with 92 control. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna say Felix is up here in the S tier, at the bottom of it, but the S tier, no doubt. I really like using Felix Hernandez at the end of the day. Our goal, this S tier, to end up basically being my starting five rotation. So far, all four of those guys locking down a rotation spot for me. Next guy we're looking at here, Bob Feller, just 98 hits per nine and only 81 control. I'm a pinpoint guy. I gotta have some control on my pitchers. I can't be using 81 control. I'm sorry, Bob Feller, but we're gonna throw you down here, and we'll throw you into the C tier because he does have the velo, he does have the outlier, he's got max Ks per nine, but the lack of control is just absolutely killer for me on that front. Now on to Bob Gibson, a guy who's got control and more hits per nine at 107. Four seam slider, sinker, curveball, changeup on the pitch mix. It's a solid pitch mix. He's got good control. He's got decent velocity. Fastball comes in at 98 miles an hour, so you're able to pump that by people. His curveball's all the way down at 80, so a really good speed differential there. I like Bob Gibson a lot. 91 control is not too bad at all, and he's gonna slot firmly into the upper end of the B tier type of guys. Now on to Al Leiter, another no-hitter card. I bet you can guess where this one's going. Al Leiter's gonna be up in the S tier as well. The 118 hits per nine, you get him paralleled up to, especially at this point for how long he's been out. Does have the 86 control, which hurts a little bit, and he doesn't have a lot of velo, but he has the sinker, cutter, slider, curveball, four seam combo. That is like my ideal pitch mix in a card this year. The curveball to give you that north to south, the sinker and the cutter slider combo are all nasty, moving in different directions at different speed. Tunneling those together is a real nice combo. So Al Leiter is going to come in here, take up our fifth spot now in the S tier. Now on to Cliff Lee, a card that I know a lot of people are absolutely disgusting with, especially with his control. But for whatever it is, for me, I was really bad with Cliff Lee. I wanted to love him. I wanted him to be incredible, especially with the sinker, cutter, circle change, the control. I wanted him to be great in spite of the hits per nine. But for me, Cliff Lee was just always getting lit up for me. He's gonna have to go down into the D tier. Maybe he deserves another chance at some point, but Cliff Lee just never got the job done for me. I got lit up with him more than anybody else I've used in this game. With this Lance Lynn, I'm not gonna lie, when I've used him, he hasn't been too bad, but he's all speed all the time. Doesn't really have much speed differential, much of an off speed to speak of. He's just out here pumping in heat left and right, which works out incredibly well for him in the major leagues. Fortunately, in this game, not quite the exact mix that we're looking for, but I do think he is still pretty solid. We're going to slide him down here at the bottom end of the B tier. I've liked Lance Lynn when I've used him, but if you get somebody who can hit fast, they're going to crush Lance Lynn. I wanted James Paxton, I think one of the better lefties in the game. He's coming in with the 115 hits per 9. We know how important that is. 87 control as well. Pretty solid on that front. And his pitch mix is nice. 4-seam, knuckle curve, cutter, changeup, sinker. Now his stuff does end up coming in a little bit flat in my opinion, but I do think it has enough movement and control on it for him to slide up in here firmly into the middle of the A tier. I like Paxton a lot. I do struggle to hit with him at times. A righty dominant game does hurt him to some degree, but overall I do think he's a really, really good pitcher. Just a couple more to look at here. First one is Jake Arrieta. Really, really solid. 122 hits per 9 with 90 control as well. So he's going to be able to control his pitches relatively decently. Let me look at his pitch mix. Sinker, slider, 4-seam, curveball, changeup. So he has north to south, east to west, and he comes in with the sinker. I think Arrieta could possibly slot into the S tier, but I don't think he's quite there for me. I think he's the upper end of the A tier, though. I like Jake Arrieta. I like how he plays. I think he's pretty nasty overall, even if he does lack just a little bit of velocity. Just 2 cards left in this tier list. First one, Giolito, 120 on the hits per 9, 91 on the control. Ends up being a pretty similar card to Jake Arrieta, but he does lack the velocity. Only 94 on the 4-seamer without that elite dominant control, even with the hits per 9. I do think that puts him right here at the top end of the B tier. I think with a little bit more velocity and some more control, I think that could go a lot better for him, but he gets a pretty big PAR region without any crazy meta pitches as well. No sinker, no cutter, anything of that sort. Last guy we're looking at, Vida Blue. Honestly, not a big fan of this Vida Blue. Even with the 123 hits per 9, he just doesn't have much control to go along with it. So even if you're limiting your opponent's PCI size, if you're throwing it down the middle of the plate, it doesn't do a whole lot there. 4-seam, curveball, changeup, slider, 2-seam, so a pretty standard pitch mix as well. He's certainly not bad by any stretch. We're going to slot him up in here in the top end of the B tier along with Giolito. Both pretty similar pitchers, only difference being one's a lefty, one's a righty. Vida Blue has some more velo. Giolito has a little bit more control, but neither of them have that elite control to go along with it, like some of these other cards do up here in the top tier. So that does it. The rest of these cards I don't think really have any use by anyone in the game. Certainly not Cy Young, but you know what? Just for the memes, we'll throw him there in the D tier where he belongs with that windup. So there you have it. My top 5 S tier. My rotation at this point ends up being Verlander, Nolan Ryan, Jacob deGrom, Felix Hernandez, and Al Leiter. If I need somebody to get some spot starts for some stamina, you know I'm looking at Peralta, Arrieta, Ohtani, Robbie Ray, Paxton, Buehler, Kershaw, Edward Cabrera, or honestly any of the people in the B tier as well. I wouldn't hate throwing out there as either. So there you have it. That is my rankings for usable starting pitchers here in MLB The Show 21. Let me know down in the comment section below, what is your rotation looking like? Who is your favorite starting pitcher in this game? Hit me up down in the comment section below and let me know. Who am I overhyping? Who am I sleeping on? Who do I need to show a little bit more respect to? Hit me up down in the comments. So let's have a chat about it. As always, you enjoyed this video, definitely be sure to leave a like and subscribe, both for me and my partner crying back over there, as always, sleeping. Until next time, I'll catch y'all around.